Was it hard for you to see somebody else doing it?
Well, it's hard in the sense that it's my baby. You know, I did 4,700 episodes. I created the show. I created the whole thing. And so if people aren't doing it the way I want it done or the way I did it, it makes it tough for me to watch. So I would give them notes to say, do this and remember this and remember that the star of the show is not you. The star of the show is the contestant. All this, all advice I give them. But it's tough because they have their own way of doing it. And I decided at one point to stop worrying about it and let him have, since CBS likes it and they're content with it, and I'm just a pullback. I decided to pull back. I give them some information and notes from time to time, but that's about it.
Do you watch the show today?
I go down to the studio. I go down to the studio about once every couple of weeks. I sit in a couple of shows and watch it, and give a couple of notes. And if I'm home, I'll turn around and watch it.
Are you pleased with it?
I am. Let me say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm pleased to with around a 7.
What don't you like?
Well, it's hard to describe the little nuances that I did and that I preferred, that they're not following up on. It's hard for me to describe. I have to sit down with you like I sit down with everybody in the dressing room and explain my points. But there are certain little things that made it different. I think they're let me put it this way. When I did the show, I had a love affair with the people. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't an MC who looked down at the people. I loved the people. And they did crazy things and so on, and I just loved everything they did because I empathized with them. These are my people. They came to my party. I'm treating them with respect. And even if they're the wildest, craziest people, I still put my arm around them. That was the feeling that I projected. And I wanted them to do more of that on the show.
Let me put it this way, I guess, then, Monty. If you had your choice again today, and if you were making the decision today after seeing the show progress a few years, would you still choose Wayne Brady, how he's doing the show now?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yes, I would, because he's a great performer, and he loves the show, and even though he's doing it his way, which not entirely my way, but even though he is coming across successfully, and the network likes him, and the people like him.
When you went back and did it, because you came back on the new Let's Make a Deal and did it, what was that like?
I'm sorry?
When you came back and did it on the Wayne Brady version.
Oh, when I did it, I did it about a year and a half ago. I performed one act every day for a week. It was terrific. You know, for me, it's like just, get up, get on the horse, and let's go again, you know. I mean, I know the show like I know my children. And so I loved it. I did the one act a day. Everybody had a good time, and what more can I say? No problem. And Wayne was very nice and accepted the fact that the old timer was on the show, you know, and that's the way it should be.
You know, Monty, I can't think of anybody better to ask this of, because you really do go into the nuances and inner workings of the business. What makes a good broadcaster, whether it's an interviewer or a talk show host or a game show host, what makes them good at what they do?
Well, it's hard for me to define the various things, but let's say that on a television show where you're interacting with people, number one, you have to have respect for the people. Don't put them down. That's the one thing that I demand. Don't put the people down, because these people are your brother, your sister, your friend, your neighbor, whoever it is, and they all deserve respect. So don't put them down. That's the first rule. Secondly, when you're on a show, not every Let's Make a Deal, but let's say it's an interview show, you have to learn how to listen. Because when you listen, you will hear what the person's saying, and you'll be able to extract from them a story that you want to get. But you're not the one who initiates it. I had a show on the air once called Your First Impression. And the host of that show would interview the stars, and when they would come out of the booth where they were identified, the mystery person identified, they came out for the interview portion. He would say, well, there you are, Mr. X. And I understand you're doing a picture, and you go into the whole story of the guy's life and so on, and you take a breath, and the guest would say, yes. That's not what we want. We want the guest to do the talking, and you say yes. In other words, you have to... You're the intermediary between that star and the public. We don't want to hear my story. We want to hear their story. And those are the things that I appreciate. And, of course, I keep saying to the host, be charming, be nice. There's a love affair with the contestant, and always remember that on Let's Make a Deal, the contestant is the star. The contestant is the star because you're going to be there every day in every way, and if you will let the star have the limelight, if you have the camera will be, the close-up will be on the contestant, not you. But at the end of the show, everyone will know that you are the star by being secondary to the contestant.
Monty, by paying attention to this interview, and this is, Lord knows, not a knock on anybody, but you've said many times that the guest, the contestant, is the star, and less of the performer being the star. Now, obviously, Wayne Brady is he's very talented. He can sing, he can dance, he can MC. He's very good at ad-libbing. Do you think there's too much of that going on, where the spotlight is on him and not on the contestant?
Well, I've hoped not.
Okay.
I've hoped not. But it's one of the first things that I've told the producers and so on. I said, try to convey to Wayne, and you see, I don't talk to Wayne too much because by my presence I intimidate him. So I do it through the producers and the writers and so on. I said, try to get him to focus on the contestant. For example, we have on Let's Make a Deal a thing called the zonk. Now, the zonk, it became an integral part of the show. When the person went for the refrigerator, the car, or something, and ended up with a terrible thing, a zonk, it was a comedy effect. It was part of the show, but it was a comedic effect to balance the prizes. In other words, when you have a zonk, people had to be very careful what they did because they could lose everything they have. So we created the zonk. And I wanted the zonk to be like it was in our day when we created double-decker dining room sets and two front engines of a car pasted together, all these crazy things. And when I see the show, they didn't seem to understand that that's a part of the show that the audience laughs at it, they get a kick out of it, the guy loses, but you have to have that, you have that jeopardy built in. But when I watch the show, they do the zonk and they get off it so quickly as if nobody, either Rain or the director or everybody wants to stay on it too long. I said, but you got to understand, it's part of the show, and you must realize that.
Why do you think Wayne is intimidated by you?
Because I created the show. I'm an older man. I did it for 35 years, and he realizes he's stepping into my shoes. Mm-hmm. So it's like, the guy that replaced Joe DiMaggio in center field. He says, my God, I'm replacing Joe DiMaggio. I better be good,
Yeah.
So he felt that way, and even though he himself is a star in his own right, my presence was intimidating to him.
How could you tell that?
Body language.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be intimidating. It certainly would be intimidating to me also. Monty, I know I got to let you go here. You're a fascinating guy, and I hope you come back. You got a lot of miles left on you, I can tell. But years from now, 20, 30, 40 years, what's the epitaph going to read on Monty Hall?
Well, one could be, I did it my way. Another one could be, I got the perfect epitaph. Larry Gelbart, who created MASH?
Yes.
One of the best writers of our day. Do you know what's on his tombstone?
What's that?
At last, a plot.
Well, I gotta tell you, Monty, the reason I asked this question is when Rodney Dangerfield died, and I ask everybody now, when he passed away, I found out what was on his tombstone. Do you know what's on Rodney's?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's in this, for the listeners out there who might not know, Rodney is buried in a very posh area, very high-class cemetery, and on his tombstone it says, "There goes the neighborhood." That's beautiful. So I ask everybody now what their epitaph's going to be because I found that so funny.
Well, I don't know, but I think the perfect epitaph for a guy in the game show business all his life should be "Time's Up."
Monty Hall, my goodness, you've been a delight. Please come back with us and stay well.
Anytime.
Hey, take care. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you.
Monty Hall, one of the... Boy, you're talking legends, you're talking Monty Hall. We're going to take a break, come back with Joey Dioria right after this.